Okay, it's time to get these things rebuilt and refinished. These things have seen their fair share of abuse. Obviously, you know, the color change. These used to be red, believe it or not. So they've definitely been abused. The pistons and the dust boots are pretty well busted up. So we're going to be changing all this stuff. I'm going to be using the RacingBrake a rebuild kit with their stainless steel pistons and the high temp boots. But you don't have to use that. You can use OEM parts or aftermarket parts from Centric or whatever for it to be much cheaper if you wanted to. And I decided I'm not gonna get these powder coated. I am gonna use the G2 paint system that I bought. It's supposed to hold up a lot better for heat. I'm also not gonna bother with the stencils or the stickers. They're just gonna be a solid color. So I'm excited to see how they turn out. Next step is to get these things stripped and sandblasted and get them ready for paint. Let's go. Okay, so this is what you get with the RacingBrake rebuild kit. I opted for the high temp dust boots. I know they're gonna burn up anyways, but you know, I figured what the hell, give them a try. The stainless steel pistons. You get the oil seals for the inside, okay, and then they send you this special lubricant. So these are the RacingBrake pistons. So they're stainless steel, and they got these little notches. So I guess that's how they're vented. The stock ones are supposed to be aluminum, so I guess the idea behind this is that this is stiffer and transfer less heat. They didn't feel like aluminum, but you know, maybe it's just marketing stuff that they say. But anyways, we'll see how they work. So this is the first set with the seal, new seals, new pistons, and new boots. So they actually look pretty nice. The paint that I got is actually blue, so I'm wondering if you're gonna see this, but I may actually just tape around all of this. Okay, I'm gonna tape all this. One thing that I did have a hard time finding was the torque spec on this. I ended up finding several different torque specs, but what I'm going to do is on these big ones I'm going to do 80 foot-pounds, and on these little ones I'm going to do 40 foot-pounds, just because of the size of the bolt. That's within range, okay, and the same thing for this. So 40 for the small ones and 80 for the big ones. What's up, Luna? Luna, come here. Come here. She's looking for a toy. You can bring me a toy? Come here. Good catch. Okay, so we're ready for paint. Did all the prep work, installed the seals and the pistons and the boots. Got everything taped up. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for me. I don't think you're gonna see much in there anyways. So make sure you tape all this up. You take the brake pad, whatever these things are called, oops, shims, where the pad's right on that, okay? You gotta tape up your brake line connector. You want that to be unpainted, your mounting points and all that stuff, okay? So they're all set up to get sprayed here. I'm gonna give it one last cleaning. Like I said, I'm gonna go with the G2 system. So this is everything you get. It's a little bit darker blue than what I wanted. I kind of was hoping that it was going to be more like a, I don't know, Cusco kind of blue. But whatever, they're going to get trashed anyway, so I'm going to go with it. It comes with a can of brake cleaner, the paint, the hardener. This is a two-part, so it's an epoxy. So I think that's what really makes it better than powder coating. Or powder coating, you know, will bake on at about 400 degrees. This stuff is supposed to be good for 890 or 980, sorry. So we'll definitely put it to the test. And it comes with, you know, a little brush, instructions, some stickers, a little thing to mix it. You are supposed to brush it, like brush it on. But, you know, obviously I don't want it to look like I just brushed on paint. So I'm gonna do this paint sprayer. You can get this from Home Depot. I've used this at work a lot. They work really good. And it has a pretty big nozzle, all right? So since this stuff is an epoxy, obviously you want something that's gonna, you know, that has a pretty big nozzle so it comes out. So I don't know how this will work with like a HVLV sprayer or, you know, something like of that nature. So we'll see. I know that like if it's a little too thick, you know, I can warm up the paint in the bottle a little bit, and that'll help it thin out and flow a little bit better, all right? So let's get to paint. We are all painted. This paint is definitely much thicker than I expected, and the sprayer system, the pre-vol, where is it? This system, it did work, but it was a lot harder than I expected. The nozzle is just not big enough, so I ended up having to continuously heat the bottle. I used a heat gun over here. Because after maybe 10 seconds of spraying, it would start like really putting big drops in, okay? And so I can definitely give you guys some tips. If you do want to use the sprayer, okay, definitely have a heat source, heat gun or something like that. I don't know that I would have put a torch to it, but honestly, I don't know that it's worth it. This paint really likes to be put on thick. As you can see, there's quite a bit of orange peel, like more than you would get with like a powder coating. And then right here, I did a test. So on this side, I brushed it with the brush that came with the kit. And as you can see, it looks much slicker than on this side, okay? And I think that the reason is that this paint just likes to be put on really thick. Once you put it on really thick, it does self-level much better, okay? So there you can really see a good difference. Okay, you can see how much orange peel is on this side. Okay, so keep that in mind. And the other thing is that with the sprayer, like getting into all these nooks and crannies, really difficult, really difficult, especially like inside and then underneath and all this stuff. Very difficult. So I ended up really wasting a lot of paint just trying to get, trying to get in there, trying to get into all those little nooks and crannies. So keep that in mind. If I were to do this again, what I would do is I would go in and I would brush inside. I would brush everything, okay? I would brush like all these little nooks and crannies, all right? And then maybe go ahead and spray it. The sprayer does put it on more evenly, I think. So even though there's a little bit more orange peel, it does look more even than like with the brush strokes. With the brush, yeah, it is kind of more glassier, but you can still see that there's like streaks, and I don't like that. That looks like you just brushed it on. So we'll see. And this is also fresh, guys. So, we'll see once they dry. I'm gonna let them sit for, some hours. I don't have all the parts. I'm waiting for the rear rotors. And those are supposed to come in a couple of days. So these are gonna sit here for, probably overnight and see what they look like. Man, so everything really came together really nicely. I was able to get the wheels back on time to show you guys with the final product with the brakes. So first, let's talk about how nice these wheels came out, man. These things were all scratched and dented, and they were able to bring them back. They did have to repaint them, and so this is not like a legit Volt color, okay? But it's very close. The guy matched it as close as possible. I honestly, when I saw them, I didn't think that they had been refinished, but he told me that they did. So went with the Falcon RT660s in 255/30/18s. So we'll see how that all works. I think with the offset and how much camber we got right now, I think we're fine. While I was messing with the brakes, I also ended up racing the suspension. I think I raced it too much. It kind of looks stock, to be honest with you. But anyways, let's get back to the brakes. So final thoughts on the G2 paint. I really like it, man. I think it's a good paint that you can use at home. It's not like just like a spray paint stuff that you could just buy at whatever auto parts store. It's a true epoxy. It's very hard. So I've driven on this. This is actually a few days later after I finished them up. And putting the wheels on and off and bleeding the brakes and all that stuff. They already got some use. They already got some brake fluid on them and a couple little hits here and there. And this stuff is holding up really well. Obviously, the true test is going to be when I go to the racetrack and put some heat into these things and see how, how the paint actually holds up to that. That's really, the whole purpose of this, right? So I threw on some of the spare calipers the spare rotors that he had given me, some race brake pads. And on the rear, I ended up having to buy new rotors. They're rusty right now because I just washed the car a little while ago. But I got new StopTech rotors for the rears, and he did have brand new pads for the rear as well. So threw those on. So I think all in all, for a durable paint that you can do yourself at home, that is much cheaper than powder coating. This is amazing. They have many colors and stuff like that you can pick too. So I think I paid $70 for this, for the paint shipped from Amazon, okay? Where I got quotes from $500 to $600 from local powder coaters to redo the brakes for me, okay? So if I had done powder coating and the RacingBrake gear, I would have been probably over $1,200 to do these. And I'm nowhere near as that doing this. So I think it's a well worth effort. All in, I am, if I had done regular rebuild stuff, like regular pistons and seals and everything like that, I think I would have been probably around $300 for a full rebuild for all 4 calipers, including all the extra stuff that I bought, the plastic, the Prevail sprayer, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it ended up costing me more because I bought, you know, the RacingBrake stuff. But if it wasn't for that, you know, this would have been a really affordable way to rebuild the calipers. So I'll keep you guys posted. Now, next for the Evo, it did throw another check engine light, so I have to dig into that. The car is idling a little funny as well, so I'm guessing it's something to do with that check engine light that it threw. Other than that, we're just gonna keep on going, guys, so stay tuned. Later.